that heaven actually holds on to Jesus until the times which were prophesied by the prophets. And I have a feeling that a lot of our prophecy is not connected to that message.
Come on, Lou.
He is coming. Hallelujah. And I feel we're in the birth canal of his coming. I feel in some way, but Bishop, that message we just got from Bishop should be heralded all over the prophetic movement.
Come on.
It's a profound message.
Yes, sir.
And it encouraged me. And so I'm going to lay out an awakening that I've had.
Come on.
It's been going on for since 2007 Nashville time. But actually, in this last spring, I went into a 40-day fast, a Daniel kind of fast. But it's the greatest fast of my life, where it was like an explosion of revelation went off in my heart, that I would say to you today that I believe this is the word of the Lord.
Wow.
Come
well,
on.
that's scary for me because I hardly ever say that. But Bishop, it's his fault. Let me go back in the 80s. I began to recognize what would go on in my life. I've shared this before, that wild whirlwinds of dreams and prophetic confirmations would take place around me. And I would simply speak about them, and bones would rattle. Movements would occur. And I remember in the 80s saying to a friend of mine, I think my calling is to release movements because of the prophetic whirlwinds that have upon my life. If you've known my journey, it's crazy. I mean, I could just point the Lockets, the pro-life, Cindy Jacobs, and if you don't put those kids in front of the Supreme Court, God will move you and put someone else in your place. And then he did it. I've been in these whirlwinds over and over. I feel like I'm in maybe my last 15 years of a prayer assignment and a movement that I believe is leading to the coming of Christ. That seems pretty huge to be able to say that. But nonetheless, I come as a fellow prophet or a non-prophet. I never know. And I had a dream with I appreciate what Jeremiah Johnson shared today. That was a powerful prophetic word. But I can almost say that I am not a prophet. I am, but in a certain way. I had a dream. I made a covenant with a guy 40 years ago, 37 years ago, that we would seek God. And he began to dream for me for 37 years. He has dreamed. Nobody knows him. He has dreamed. And I am kind of the mouthpiece. Because the Lord would show me that I don't have all the giftings I need. Someone else's gifting. I had a dream, and in this dream, this woman walks into this circle of people, our leadership team, and she said, did anybody have a dream last night? I said, no, did you? And she said, yeah, I had a dream last night. She said, yeah, I had a dream that Chris Berglund, this man, was raising up a worldwide movement that changed the world. And I'm thinking in the dream, why him? I'm the leader. In the dream, she said, and he will build it on 3 words: Celeste, Sirens, and Starbucks. Well, I got the interpretation. The reason he's leading it is because of the revelation from the celestial realm. And I'm the siren. It's a play on Starbucks. I'm a siren. I open my mouth. That's not trying to be boastful. I open my mouth and movement happens. And the Starbucks is apostolic application of the prophetic movement that puts it all over the earth and builds it. So I come more in many ways as a siren than a celestial revelatory seer. But I need that seer. And just the other day, I was in Iraq. My daughter Gloria and Kenny and their child, I was just there for 21 days visiting my daughter. They live there. They've learned Kurdish in 1 year. It's just amazing. Among the Kurdish peoples, and it's so interesting. He sends a dream that he had about Iraq. He had no idea it was about Iraq. That my daughter Kenny and her husband Gloria were called to bring forth Rebecca the bride.
Come on. Yes, sir.
For Isaac. Ishmael and Isaac didn't know that Rebecca was in Iraq. You didn't get that. When Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, goes and finds a bride, Rebecca is being called out of Iraq. And my daughter is a part of that voice and that call. Oh, man. I told her, and she fell in love with the guy in Iraq on a prayer assignment. That's good stuff. So today, I simply want you to judge what I shared. I remember years ago thinking, Lord, shall I keep telling these stories, these wild whirlwinds? Is it going to make it pride? Is it pride or whatever? And the Lord spoke to me, if you don't tell the stories, the movements will never occur. Because part of prophecy is prophetic narrative.
Come on, I love it.
Prophetic whirlwind. You
love
look in the book in chapter 1 and 2 of Luke, and boom, it's like angels, everything's exploding in prophetic. I feel we're in that kind of moment right now. I'm going to share a story, this storyline with me. That this passage rocks my world. That it says that every revival has this, it's for the restoration of all things, so that Christ may return. And I've said this, or I've heard this said, and I've said it as well, that every revival has a message of restoration connected to it. That if you preach that message of restoration, God will send His Spirit to confirm that message.
Yes.
What I share today, I'm asking you simply to judge. Years ago, I was in Kansas City House of Prayer, and these 3 young Jewish guys came into the House of Prayer. They walked up to me and they said, your lion is abortion, your bear is the homosexual movement, but your Goliath is the battle for Jerusalem. I've never forget. You know how certain words have sticking power. They don't leave you. They just hang with you. That's because the Lord has implanted that within your heart. In 2007, maybe you've heard me share this. I went to Jerusalem for the first time. My prophet friend was there.